Hi, this is Dave from friendlywebguy.co.uk with another unplanned and unscripted video. This time I'm going to be looking at the AI Hub and AI Writer modules, which will be part of the agency plan of ToggleWP. So I've written a couple of blog posts on why this exists, and this video is just going to be looking at how it actually functions. So I'm back on my Hub site and I've got the AI Hub enabled, as you can see here. And if I scroll up to the top and go to the AI Hub, we can see we've got areas to enter our three different API keys. So you can pick your major AI platform of choice. We can also pick the default provider and the default model that's in use, as well as the monthly allowance and a daily allowance, just to limit people from blowing their entire token budget on a single day. And we've also got features to enable the chat mode as well as long form content. So depending on how you wanted to monetize these sort of AI assistants as part of your hosting or service platform offering on there, you can toggle these ones on and off at the global level as well as per clients. And you can also brand the sort of the AI writer module to suit your own needs. So it doesn't need to have the toggle WP branding on there. And out of the box, it just is called AI writer. So you can give it your own display name, accent color, stick your own small logo URL in there, as well as having a little powered by text at the bottom. So moving further down, we've got a global sort of prompts that will be applied to all requests coming through from all clients on there. So this could potentially sort of put in extra sort of safety measures or to limit the certain length that things could be on that side so that a client can't request to have like war and peace sort of written as a blog post on that side sort of through. So that's just kind of like an extra fail safe on there. We've also got the ability to set per client's master prompts on there. So currently I've just got the Acme Corp set up as one on here, and you can enter your prompt in here. So make sure it is in, and I can't type on here. This is British English instead because I can't type Canadian on there and talk on there. If I could just click save, that says master prompt saved. So if we swap to nothing, and if you swap to that, it loads up on that side through. So each customer or client can have their own sort of mini sort of prompt on that side through. So if they needed to be Canadian sort of French on that side, you can enforce that on there without them needing to put it in every item they put through on that side. So the key parts or the key differentiator with the AI Hub and AI Writer on here is it's a bring your own API keys affair, as you can see at the top. So with the current offering, I wouldn't be making any markup on any API requests because you put your own key in, which means you pay the sort of provider rates on there without any markups whatsoever. I'm providing the kind of the plugin and the infrastructure to cater for this bit through. You provide your own keys, you're in charge of your own billing and monitoring your usage on that side through. But on the subject of usage, no site can connect in without actually being set up. So if you saw the previous agency video, you can sort of see we added a client site on there. We could also register them through here just for the AI module if you wanted to kind of have like a semi-unmanaged mode where clients could look after their own sites and use toggle WP features on that side, but you wanted to make sure that all your API keys were sort of managed at the top level here. So we've currently got our client one site that has been registered, and I last did something with it yesterday, and you can see the overall usage on here as well. So at the hub level, you also want to see who's using what and how much on that side. So we've got a client AI summary, which I'll just hop over to there, will tell you the total number of clients that it's seen, how many have been active in like the last 7 days, how many haven't used it in 30 plus days. That would be a good conversation point to say, like, you got this feature, are you aware that it's there? And you can also see the total number of tokens used over the last 90 days on that side through. So you can see from the client overview, let's say the self-service, if you were the hub and you enable the writer on there as well, it will class as like the self-service mode because it doesn't require a second site to talk through. Whereas we can see we've got our client 1, 2, 3A from the previous video, as well as Acme Corp that had some previous usage before recording these videos. So these ones haven't used it in the last day. Acme Corp has done, and you can also view the details on there just to see what they've used, how much in and out, and how many requests, and the different days on that side through. So that would let you see who's heavily using it, who's just doing light usage on that side sort of through. And if you did have some clients who are heavily using it, you could then see how they're getting on and see whether the branding and the context of their prompts are coming out nicely, and then potentially add some wrap-on services around that to help dial in their sort of branding, sort of messaging and bits on that side through. But this is the hub level, of which there's no real UI apart from these on there. So I'm now going to swap across to the client, which has got the AI writer in place. So if I just swap over to ToggleWP and manage on there and swap to the AI writer tab, this bit would be visible for the client to see. Currently, as I'm in as the admin, I can sort of see everything on there, but in a slightly sort of later version, if it's got a connection in place, I'll probably hide the top parts so the client can come in and just sort of tweak their own brand context on here. They could provide their company name, description, provide their target audience, brand tone, and keywords. So if you had them on the overall service just as like a basic offering, so if you did your sort of maintenance or care plans on there, you might include like $1 usage a month as part of the overall plan, and they could use it in a self-service way. They would be in charge of managing their own brand and details on here, which get wrapped around all of the prompts that go out. If you wanted to upgrade the service to do sort of other bits, then if I swap back onto the AI templates on the hub level, and we can see we've got all of the out of the box prompts here. So you've got homepage hero, about page, FAQ generators, etc. And each of these have got their own sort of prompts in place. It's kind of global for all customers to come through. And we can have the ability to actually customize it on a per client basis. So Acme Corp is the only one that's actively registered at the moment. If I select them, we've got the ability to export what's in place and import as well. So this is sort of mentioned in the other sort of companion blog post. If you're working with some other marketing agency to help manage the client's brand, you could export all of the prompts here, including all of the custom prompts that are in place. They could set it up on their own separate copy of ToggleWP on their site, work on the branding, do lots of sort of sandbox testing on the content and things on there to kind of get the brand instructions right on a per prompt basis. When they're happy with that, they could export it, send it across to you. You as the agency or freelancer could then import it back into your hub, so you don't need to see any other client information on that side. And then they've got their nice kind of sort of managed branding sort of prompts in place there. But the key factor is that what you see on the hub here is not visible to the clients. So if the client was then basically making a request on their site, which I shall get to in a moment, they won't see the extra secret sauce that's been put around that bit. So you could basically sell that as a premium service where you and the marketing people would control the extra sort of custom prompts on here, and the customer can just say, write me a blog post about the top 10 widgets in this area. And that would then include the system prompt, which will be for all customers, as well as the custom brand instructions and say, use it in British English, sort of be informal on that side, light-hearted, and don't use any sort of Americanisms and sort of bits on that side through, which would be wrapped around without the client needing to see on there. So this is a good way to have like an extra sort of revenue upsell on like a premium version of this bit through, where if you've got a marketing person in-house, they could help you with that bit. Or I'm hoping in time to build up a directory of sort of different sort of freelancers and marketeers that may be able to kind of sort of outsource this bit to them to look after that bit. Let's swap over to the actual client site on here. So this is in place, and we can see we've got the AI assistant shown on both, and we can see what it looks like if we click in a text area on here. We've now got our little AI writer icon. So I click on there, we can now see our AI writer sort of side panel. If I'd branded it and did a synchronization on there, it will pick up the other branding on that side. So let's just give that a test now, just to be a bit of debugging while I'm recording a video. Let's hop to AI Hub, and we can just call this the Acme writer instead, powered by ToggleWP. AI, as you can see from autocomplete. I tried that the other day. If I just save the settings on that side, that should now be saved. So Acme Writer. If I swap back over to here, just do a manual sync, we shall see if it does anything on there. And we can see at the top, it's already changed it to Acme Writer Chat. So if I click back onto our company description, so this is obviously in the dashboard screen on here, we've now got Acme Writer on the top on there. So you can also change the background color, but I'm not going to do that bit on the fly because I'll probably pick some really awful color on there. So we've got our list of different items on here to kind of go through, and you can also add in your own hub level templates. So you can add things for all customers to see, but you can also add them in at a client's level on their individual sites that would be sort of just for them. So if I select that, for example, paste into here, I'm just going to select the text and click on the arrow. Because I had text selected and clicked on that bit, it says selected text captured and gives you a quick preview on there. So I'm going to click on the rewrite and improve. It's automatically pasted the text in on that side. And I'm just going to say simpler language on there. And I want to try and improve my writing skills because, just frankly, I'm a developer, not a marketer. So I can also toggle to say explain what's changed. So if I click on generate there, this will be a proof in the pudding that does actually do a live request while recording. It's now sent that request off. If I had any other wrappers around there, it would have done what's in place. And it now says choose where the AI assistant shows up, yada yada on there. But I can also click on the explanation of changes, and underneath it just says key changes made, replace controls where with choose where, and other details on that side sort of through. And here we can see maintained British English spelling throughout. So my client prompt that I put in has been wrapped around as the requests go from the client site through the hub to make sure your API keys are always secure, adds on that extra wrapper, and it came back to get that in place on there. So depending on where you're working, if I click insert, it should go through and has replaced the text on that side. Let's give a test on a front-end page as well to see how it works on there. Currently, I've only been doing some testing on sort of the block editor on there, and it does vary depending on what sort of blocks you've got in place. So if we try the same on here, we've got our related area, which you could just click on that and it hasn't got anything selected, or I can click on there, it pre-does that bit, and let's just say, what's good on here? Let's just say content expander. So we want to, yeah, add examples, no explanations this time, and just to say generate. And obviously this is just doing a live request on there. So it's now really well expanded that bit into different examples. Click insert, and it's now added it in on top of that bit. So I can then just get rid of the existing sort of one that I had in place. And if I just refresh the page without making any change, select that bit, and if I click on the Acme Writer up at the top, we can trigger the side panel as well. We've also got history, and we can see what we had done previously, of which we've got the content expander here. If we had any markup in place, you can actually tick the little eye icon. So here's an example from yesterday where we've got the hash and the double hashes, which is sort of the markdown in there. If I click on the little eye, that would then imply or add simple formatting on there so I can see what's in place and say, yeah, I want to reuse that one. Let's just do insert on there. And obviously it's in markdown format, so you need to go through and restyle it, but it's now added it into the page there. So I'm going to do one last quick example to show you one of the other parts that are in place. If I find a custom block on here, which I've not actually got much around because this is the default install. In fact, there's not really much on this side to use. But yeah, one of the other options we do have in place, if we generated some text up, and let's just reuse this one. As you can tell, it's live and unscripted, so I'm just making up as I go through. They say how-to guide, 3 steps on there, generate. Depending on if you're working in custom sort of blocks. So when I was doing local testing with Cadence, you could select some text, but as it was inside a different block, it couldn't necessarily inject into it. So that's where we've got this little eyedropper sort of picker on there, which if you click on that bit, you can then go through and say, right, I want to replace this particular section. And if I click on there, it's now replaced the initial sentence with the whole block of text on there and sort of kept the other one beneath. So it's basically got sort of 2 ways that it could try and inject text into the page. And you've also, last of all, got the good old copy, which would just copy it into clipboard so you can paste it in there. Because I did a quick test with Elementor on the client site, and that had weird stuff going on there. It just didn't like being injected or inserted on that side. So you've got the good old copy, and you can sort of paste back in on that side as well. So just to briefly sort of wrap up, on a site level, you could also go through and star which ones you wanted to use. So had I thought about this beforehand, I could have starred the rewrite and improve and summarizer, and they then appear at the top to kind of go through. So if I just refresh the page again to leave everything I had in place, sort back over, yeah, I want to do something on here. I've already got those at the top for me to use on there, and it goes through on that side through. So that's pretty much where it is at the moment on that side for the front end side of things. If you wanted to add in your own custom AI templates, I'm now back on the hub. I can swap to AI templates on here, and I don't think I've got anything because this is a brand new install on here. Let's do add new templates, and let's just call this translate to French. You can see I've already done this a couple of times before. Translate to the French category, language on there, and we'll say translate the content into French. So you could also add in, we'll say Canadian French on that. Let's just capitalise that a bit to avoid the squiggly lines. You can also add in your own placeholders with your templated fields. So it's going to say topic, and we're going to sort of call it topic text. Now this will be a text area, and that obviously is required on there. And we shall just put in number of lines. Let's just say lines, and we can just call this select. And we just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that'll be optional on there. So translate the, and let's just get this right. So we need to put in our into Canadian French at most, and we say number of lines long. Only, I so can't type and read. Run, only return the actual result. But sometimes it will just add in extra, here's the original, here's something else. If you're translating text, you won't necessarily be able to read it. We just want the end result on there. So I'm going to click Save Template. And I wouldn't be too surprised if this doesn't work because it's completely unplanned. And so we just added a new one. So we've now got our language on there. If I sort back to our client sites, this would be a test to see if it works or not. And on the Acme writer on here, let's just do manual sync, and we'll see if it brings anything across. So it says refreshed on there. If we now go to posts, all posts, back to our hello world, select on there, we can now see language translate to French. So I'm going to favorite that one as well. And so my computer just froze for a second on there. So I'm going to click on there. So it's included our welcome text on their lines. I would sort of say 2 on that side. No idea if the lines will actually sort of come through, but we'll click generate and see what happens. But we can see we've added our topic text and our number of lines that has shown up here. And obviously it doesn't like the prompt that I put in place on that side, which isn't too surprising as I made it up on the fly. But we can see that we added stuff on that side through, and it needs a bit of texting on the prompt side of things, so probably just from having something entered incorrectly on there. But if you wanted to, host level or hub level, you can add your new ones. And then lastly, in the interest of time, because it's getting already past the 20-minute line, your clients could also, on their local site, if you wanted to allow them to do this, add their own templates in the same way. So this template would only exist just on that client's site. So if they did end up sort of leaving your sort of service on there and subscribe to ToggleWP themselves, they'd have access to these ones. However, any templates created at the hub level could be shown with the default prompt around there, but you'd still control the secret source of their branding, which you can control through the select client on the top there and the custom prompts. And all these ones would be kind of like a bit like layers of cake or onions, depending on which TV show you watch. They can kind of wrap around the original text to add in those other extra sort of safety nets or guidance on there. So yes, thank you for watching on here. So the functionality you can see here is now available in the 0.4 release that should be going up by the time that you've watched this bit. It does still need improvements and ironing, sort of fixing some bugs around the edges and bits, but it's all functional if you set your templates up correctly on that side. So thank you for watching and let me know if you've got any questions.